Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. Today's subject, Shun Classic vs Premier Knives. Home kitchen or chef's kitchen is not complete without proper cutlery. You may not be Gordon Ramsay or the chef straight out of Australian MasterChef, but you will still be needing the perfect knife to chop off some good food. Now, what is a perfect knife? While we were on a search for the ultimate kitchen knife, we got our hands on a bunch of cutlery companies that have been supplying those for ages. Japan, Germany, Switzerland, even the USA are now producing some top-notch knife sets to furnish your kitchen. Last summer, when I was traveling to Japan, I came across this particular knife brand, going by Shun Knives. I am sure many kitchen enthusiasts are already familiar with this name since they have been selling quality knives. Shun Classic Knife Review. Japan may have been famous for cherry blossoms and other pretty things, but who would have imagined Japan having this stronger reflection on handcrafted knives? Shun Knives and Cutlery has been established in Japan to ensure the highest quality knife sets for the chefs, both in home and restaurants. Shun is a Japanese word that translates for the highest peak of ripening food. It has two basic types of knife series, one of which is Shun Classic Knives. This series includes all types of necessary knives one may need at hand's length in the kitchen. Shun Classic Chef Knife, Double Bevel VG Max Blade Steel and Ebony Pakkawood Handle Size, lightweight and easy to maneuver, handcrafted in Japan, 6-inch, silver. From bread knife, paring knife to boning, slicing knife, from Kiritsuke knife to Santoku and Nakiri, you name it, they will supply it. Some of the knives come in sets with an extra honing knife and a wooden block. Each knife, despite its size and shape, is made of a Pakkawood handle and an ultra-sharp full-tang blade. The Pakkawood handle is easy to get a grip on while being extra flexible on the user's side. This type of wood is resistant to slippage and does not get rusty being in the water. The sharp blade is Damascus clad on both sides. The Damascus is subtle in finishing and soothing to look at. The blade is made of Shun's special VG Max high-quality steel. These steels are corrosion resistant and go a longer way than most knives of the same quality. The only drawback this steel has is that it gets chipped easily if given pressure due to its hardness. Shun Classic knives are easy to maintain. The blade is comfortable to use on any type of chopping board without a scratch. Not to mention the sharpness of the blade can cut through any kind of food hard or moist. Pros. The handling process is easy for limiting slippage. The blades are stylish and sharp, highly durable for rust resistance. Full tanginess gives extra strength. Cons. The steel gets chipped for its hardness. Shun Premier Knife Review. Shun launched their Premier Chef knives after some time of the classic ones. If the classic ones are the first step towards the kitchen, then the Premier knives will take your experience to a whole new level. Although Shun Premier knives are mostly the same in performance as the classic ones, some basic structural differences give it a new horizon. The Premier knife mostly specializes in chef's knives. It has the same Pakkawood handle and a full tang blade. The Pakkawood handle has a natural walnut color with a steel rim on its butt. The full tangness comes with extra strength on the handle of the Premier knife. Shun Cutlery Premier 8-inch chef's knife, lightweight, agile, extremely comfortable grip, perfect for slicing, dicing and chopping a full range of foods, beautiful and versatile, handcrafted in Japan. The Damascus is more swirly on the blade with a hammered portion on the top. As a result, Damascus looks more prominent on the Premier knife than the classic ones. It will not be a mistake if you think the Shun Premier knives are all about Damascus. Although the blade is of the same category, which is VG Max steel, a more developed version of VG10 steel. The Shun Premier knife has an edge of 16 degrees, which makes it sharper than regular European knives. The European knives are mostly 22 degrees on the edge. The blade in both sharpness and length provides the perfect balance for the chef. That is also why this particular knife has been winning many hearts and awards ever since its launch. These knives are highly durable, but the only drawback is the maintenance process. Most of the time when people come with a damaged knife, it is not because of the knife's quality, rather poor maintenance by the user. It cannot be washed in the dishwasher and has to be dried immediately after washing. Pros. The handle prevents any type of slipping. The Damascus makes the blade elegant and strong. The blade speaks for balance and sharpness, resistant to corrosion. Cons. 25% higher in price than the Shun Classic knives, it has to be hand washed and dried quickly. Shun Classic vs Premier Knives. If you have reached this far in the article, then you must be in a serious dilemma about which one to go with. There are some basic similarities but some contrasts as well. Here we will be discussing the key differences between Shun Classic vs Shun Premier knives to help you settle with one from these two. Typical uses. Both the Shun Classic and Premier knives are multi-purpose knives. But the main difference is that the Classic series has different knives for different purposes, whereas the Premier series has settled with just a chef's knife. Shun Classic knives have a paring knife, bread knife, boning and filleting knife, kiritsuke, nakiri, santoku, and whatnot. As you can see, from even the smallest chops to hard deboning, everything can be done with this series in your hand. In contrast, the Premier set comes with less knife variety, but most of them are qualified to function in multiple directions. The Shun Premier knives are more targeted towards chef activities rather than home kitchen ones. Knife design. The outer design is the key point that helps to distinguish between these two different series from the same cutlery company. Let's start with the fundamental portion, the blade. The blade of the Classic knife has a subtle Damascus finishing, so it is not much prominent on the outside. The Premier blade, on the other hand, has much visible swirly Damascus on its edge. It has also a hammered portion on the side that makes the blade even stronger. The handle, in both cases, is made of pacawood. In Classic knives, it comes in two different colors, ebony and blonde. In the Premier knife, it is only in natural walnut color. The other features, such as tanginess, sharpness, blade types, and edges, are pretty much the same in both knives. Blade curve. A Shun knife review is incomplete without talking about the blade curvature. Both the Shun Classic and Premier knives are made of VG Max steel. It is a developed version of VG10 steel. The function of the steel depends on the curvature of the blade. Shun has not disappointed its users in this regard. Both of the knives have an angle of 16 degrees on their edges. The Premier knives are slightly curvier than the Classic ones. Although the Classic knives are not exactly blank straight, their curves depend a lot on the purpose they are used for. Since the Premier knives are targeted for chef's knives, they were given curvier input to withstand pressure. The Premier knives have subtle curves on the outer portion with a quality edge. The curvature adds more to the function and sharpness. Common blade length. The blade length of Shun Classic and Premier knives varies according to the function it is used for. The Shun Classic knives have small paring and bread knives. On the other hand, it has long kiritsuke and santoku as well. The Shun Premier knives are more standard in this regard. Most of their knives are 8 inches long, which is suitable for the normal day-to-day activity and high-class chopping, slicing as well. To put it in number, the Shun Classic knives can vary from a small 4 inches to a large 12 inches. In contrast, the Shun Premier knives can range from 8 inches to 12 inches at maximum. In both cases, the blade length with its full tanginess adds more strength to the grip. Maneuverability. Maneuverability means how user-friendly an object is. The Shun Classic knives are lighter and sharper than the Premier ones. Needless to say, they are also more maneuverable than the Premier knives. Although both of them are manufactured by the same hard steel in the core, due to the quality finishing of the Classic knife, it is easier to handle than Premier knives. Apart from the blade strength, both the knives have a pacawood handle that prevents slippage. It provides more leverage on the user's side rather than the blade's portion. It is also the reason the Premier knives are recommended towards professional chefs rather than home cooks. Force tolerance. The VG Max steel does an extraordinary job of tolerating force while chopping even the heaviest food material. But a minimum drawback here is that they are a bit more fragile for the core. Since this steel is harder and heavier than regular high-carbon steel, it gets chipped easily. The Classic knives are lighter, so they can tolerate more force than the Premier knives. The Premier knives are suggested to be handled with care to run for a long way. The Premier ones come with Shun knife sharpening machines to support the delicacy. Price. The Premier knives are naturally higher-end knives than the Classic ones. You may get a Shun Classic knife under $100, but most of the Premier knives are over $200. It is mainly because of the delicate structural finishing of the Premier knife. The Premier knives have more carbon content and Damascus in them. There are more touches of handcraft than Shun Classic knives. So, the price range is justified. The pricing is also added due to the special steel only Shun is supplying. No other cutlery company has come up with such a strong blade with such success. Final verdict. Getting the best knives to furnish your kitchen may be hectic in terms of choices. There are plenty of big sharks in the market currently who promise something but sell something completely different. So, who do you trust in the cutlery game? Shun has been in the knife business for ages now. They have not only won the trust of high-level chefs but also made complementary pathways for home cooks as well. The Japanese handcrafted knives have brought the newest additions in quality series at an affordable price range. Many people do not understand the similarities and dissimilarities between Shun Classic versus Premier knives. The main target of this article was to help them enlighten with the basic information about the brand and its product. Hopefully, it will be an easy buy next time and a great experience with knives and cooking.